versus boys.
No, it's okay. Oh, great. Have you all here. So first, there was a survey of the audience yesterday about how many people knew what JICs were. So today I'm going to ask for a hand raise. How many people in the audience are involved in the buying or planning of digital audiences? Show of hands. Okay, so that's about half. Good. And how many use the kinds of data that have been described in this session? Okay, good. So that's a good level set. So my first question really would be for Tini and Simon. You showed a whole bunch of different data sources that you start with and bring together. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious to hear about the particular problems that you had to solve and the obstacles you had to overcome in integrating those and bringing those together. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. I think the interesting problem that we had, like you said, talking about those disparate data sets. And the important fact was to not just solely rely upon machine learning to find those answers. Mm-hmm. What we had to do was be able to identify that, say one data set says this audience likes dogs, and another data set says this audience likes cats. We can trust and benefit from the human pattern to be able to go, well, actually, we need to target pets. So it's making sure that we're not just looking at data as a big data good. It's making sure that we're not assessing quality by size, but rather assessing quality by the insights that we can extract from it and how we can actually implement them against something.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing was for the amount of times you speak to people about, like, here's our data set and the value and everything. The first question, Simon, when we first met was, what actions can I drive off of this? Mm-hmm. And you just go, but I can tell you all these things. And it wasn't about that. It was they started with the actions that they wanted to take and then found the right data sources that helped them drive that piece.
Right. And then your sort of proof of concept data was relying on the most convenient of metrics available, which is click-through rate and cost per click. But if you were to be here a year from now with a further iteration of the same project, what metrics would you envision being next that you could scale?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in for you. So I think with that and being ex-agency, right, the more you can take media dollars and bring it out of the box of media metrics, the better, right? So, and sort of what we said is, I think then phase 2 is showing how it drives upper funnel metrics. So did you get cut through with the ad recall and the awareness and so on, but actually, are you driving those lower funnel metrics in that piece? The next piece around this is also being able to pixel track each one of those creatives to understand who was then exposed to it, and how do you then dial up that creative in terms of the attitude statements, behaviors that you want to drive in that piece. If this is ICOM 3 years from now, hopefully, we get into an area where we start linking it to the e-commerce side, and we actually get to the business outcomes of it.
And I think just very quickly on that, it becomes an interesting problem as well we face as a data industry, is how do we create an optimization metric that is on such a lagged time frame? Right. Because brand recall is you serve it and then how do you optimize towards that, which I think is going to be a really interesting challenge for us to find a solution to.
Cool. So, and then switching over to the presentation from Karin and Jennie. First of all, I salute you for paying attention to the question of validation and accuracy. That's very often overlooked. I'm curious as to how you think clients, given the discussion yesterday about the distinction between planning data and currency trading data, how do you see this kind of effort that you've described going forward? Do you actually think it can move in the direction of being a trading currency, or is this something where we will be, in effect, using it for better planning, but still trading on something else?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. In the Netherlands, you see there's no question about GRPs being the trading currency for TV buying, actually. But in the digital world, this kind of data is not accepted as a currency, and it's completely. I can understand that because there are other rules in that area. But I do think that we can agree on a certain standard, or at least a truth source that we know, that we are all involved with, that we agree on, that we can use to inform all the other metrics that are there. And but in the programmatic area, where you can actually optimize on behavioral metrics that are really real-time available and also true in the data, then I don't see a real role for audience measurement data as a currency in that area. But when you move to brand metrics, then it's a different world. Then you will, again, also need to be able to find the audiences based on more general characteristics, and to build your audiences, and then it becomes more important that kind of data is at least accurate. You
Very
need
good.
the demographics right, also interest profiles, stuff like that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, our time is up, so thank you, and thank you for the audience for showing up bright and early, and onward and upward. Thank you.